Fine. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. All right. Excuse me. Good afternoon. Welcome to the NVIDIA gathering. Right? Excuse me. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Good afternoon, Fred. Good to see you, sir. Hi, okay. Welcome to the NVIDIA. Love it. Coffee, cinnamon powdered donuts with Coach Scott. Rainy, Orlando. Orlando. Okay. Wonderful Wednesday to you, Dennis. Visa SPY hedges may be correct, John. May be correct. The only thing that I'm noticing is not a lot of volume. Not a lot of volume. So, my name is Scott. Welcome to the Tradespoon live trading room, stocks and options. Trading for a while, teaching for a while. Here's the disclosures. Okay. So, a couple of things. First and foremost, I have bad news. In that, and I'll say it again at the end, and I'll say it on Friday, but this will be my final week hosting webinars for Vlad. There are just I'm doing a little something different. He may be doing something different, and so this is my final week. Let's enjoy our time together. I have to be careful. I'll start crying. I will make sure everyone has my email. If anyone wants to stay in touch, I would love that. But anyways, there you go. It is what it is. Let's talk about the market. All right. What is the market doing? I don't know what this is telling me. That looks all kinds of wrong. There we go. S&P down 0.66. Dow down 0.5%. NASDAQ down 1%. Russell down 0.86. Oil down 1.25. Oil's down 1.25, gold down 0.5%. Everybody's down. Lot of build up. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. A lot of build up into NVIDIA. That's it. Ooh, 30-year mortgage rate falls to 16-month low. What is the 16-month low? It's probably shit still, right? 6.44. Ugh. I need 2%. Can I get 2% in mortgage rates by summer of next year? 2% is ideal. 1.5% is acceptable. Is that asking too much? I feel like we could get that. I want that. Yeah, I will definitely look to stay in contact for sure. For sure. Why is Gen Z too young to be loading up on bonds? Oh my God, of course they are. Trump soon to sell his stake in Trump Media. Here's what happens if he does. Oh, that door is, what's the symbol? DJT? Dennis says, I no longer, that's amazing, Dennis. I'm actually looking to buy a condo or a duplex. Actually, I saw a duplex in Logan, Utah, which is where my daughter will be for 2 more years. I'm paying $1,000 a month for basically a dorm. It's a private dorm. It's trash, and it's $1,000. Rent one whole side and then 2 bedrooms on her side, and then I don't have to pay anything. And then when she's done, I'll just rent it. There's my wife has family in that area, so I'm like, I can have someone help look after it. But I am going to have a mortgage for that for sure. DJT is at all-time lows now, down at 19. Oh boy, he's got a lot of shares too, right? That could really flood. I think the volatility on this thing is off the charts. You could always sell like call spreads and just sit on it, right? Sell a 25-30 call spread and sit on it more aggressively at 2025. Short. What do you think the short interest looks like on this? Hard to borrow. Hard to borrow. Might go up if he gets elected 100%, right? 100% it would. I agree with that. I don't think might. I think would. I think would. And that's the crapshoot. There'll be a lot of pressure from him selling because he'll be injecting a lot of shares into the market. But if he got elected, it would pop. That'd be an interesting parameter. Okay, let's go back. What else? What else do we need to talk about? Nothing happened today. Nobody cares about Waller or Bostic. We only care about Jer Bear and the hallowed and revered Dr. Sir Arthur Goolsbee. Or is it Sir Doctor? You never know which one to put first. That's the problem when you have the accolades that man has. Our next Fed. If it's not those two, I don't care. It's my policy. Thursday, jobless claims still in the 230s. I don't see any issues where everyone's like, oh, the weakness coming in. Unclutch your pearls. Relax. Still fine. Could it get worse? Sure. But now we have the Fed moving into an accommodative stance. Don't fight the Fed. Did I tell you guys my idea for a new AI? I want to make an AI that will create a swanky theme song for whatever the topic you put in. So if I'm like, I need a theme song for Don't Fight the Fed, and it comes up with like this swanky theme song. Oh, how much fun would I have with that? Fed Schmed, NVIDIA rules the markets. That's funny. That's funny. Friday. Income expected to stay the same. Spending expected to go up a little bit, which is hard on inflation. And yet we're moving into more accommodative Fed. We got down to about 2.5. It's not expected to drop any further, the PCE, which is why I don't think there's any hope of a 50 basis point cut. The market still thinks that there is, and there's a pretty decent chance. We're not even 2-to-1 relative. So yeah, not a lot of green today, Bob, but I love the setups. I think the setups are knocking. I like what I sees. That's our Fed expectations there. Here's our heat map today. That's not our heat map today. Here's our heat map today. A lot redder, especially around this top left area, which is fine if the volume is low. So that's the question we'll go answer. Let's look at Stella, and then we'll go get a quiz. And we'll wrap and says, but the picture says otherwise. The picture says consolidation, higher low, bounce, higher high. I agree with her. I'm bullish. I'm looking for this to be bullish. My market posture, if you want to know the score, this is the last time, couple of times. The last time. This is the last time we get to coordinate our postures. It's a bit sad. I'm not going to lie. I'm 4.25. I was thinking even possibly 4.5. I almost went a full half of a point increase on the VIX. That's why I flagged it yellow, but I'm a 4.25. A nice recovery. John says 4.5. Okay, I was almost there. Almost there. I was right on the bubble of that, but I've increased. It's pretty good. I think that there's more things. With no volume, I think we could go even to 4.75, even if the market just goes kind of sideways this week. We'll see what Friday could definitely shake things up. Thursday, right? Thursday could with NVIDIA, but for now, I feel pretty stable. I feel like any signal that comes my way is open for business. Open for business. Okay, you're welcome, John. Market posture, always my favorite routine as well. Here's the thing about the market posture. I tell people, if I got stuck on a desert island, no, I won't have any idea what's going on for the last year. And I come back and I shower, shave, eat a burger, hug my family. And then I what? Well, of course, the next thing I'm going to do is trade. What's the first thing you would do? The first domino to set in action? Market posture. You want to know what you should be doing? Ask the market. Market will tell us. As long as we're asking the right questions, right? That's my be water question. I come back and as water, I ask the market, hey, I'm a vase. And I'm like, great, thanks. I'm a sophisticated and even what I would consider to be somewhat fancy man, Bob. Everybody knows that about me. I've got to be showered and shaved. Okay. What else, Stella? Give us a couple more readings together. Let's look at the QQQ. Oh, Stella says the Nasdaq's already almost done. That's the pattern of the day, in my opinion, is flag. Parade. I feel like we have a parade. DIA. Look at the Dow. So Stella's like, wait a second, there's a concern here. But is it a concern for us? Fred just flagged that Stella doesn't like IWM either. So I guess we are not going to know yet. That's part of what I'm looking for in order to convince me that there's some increased strength. And that would be who is moving into more of a leadership position between large caps and small caps. I don't know that we know yet. And let's see what Stella thinks. It doesn't seem to be large caps. And it also doesn't seem to be small caps. So we may not know a little while longer on that. She believes in NVIDIA tonight. Let's go take a look. Is anybody putting on, or does anybody already have on a trade on NVIDIA that they're going to take through earnings? Let's go look at the chart of that for a minute. Long now selling. Okay. It's tough, man. It's tough because you're like, yeah, that's a tough one for sure. A lot of vol, 75. Bob, you're right. That's a big call out. 75 on the vol. Very expensive. Very likely to last time it fell from 54 to 40 overnight. You might think, oh, did it just slowly slide down by the end of the day? Nope. It closed here and it opened here and then it connected the dot. That went from 54 to 40. This time we're at 75. I could see this dropping 54 to 40. That was 14 points. I could see this dropping 25, 27. I could see it dropping to 50. That's going to suck all the value out of any options held. So this is where you think, oh, well, then I could sell options. I could do an iron condor. Well, the problem with the iron condor is you're going to get yourself probably a range of about 8%, I would say, give or take. 125, that 8% is going to be $12-ish. 137 and 112, 113, right? Somewhere in there. And so in that regard, you're asking yourself, does that give me enough room? This thing could fly potentially with the amount of expectations. In fact, I thought I saw someone, tell me if you saw this as well. I thought I saw something in Yahoo this morning where they're like, the market's priced in 8 or 9%. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that sounds about right for the implied vol. So that's your range, 8%, 9%. If it's less than that, the iron condor works. If it's more than that, you're going to have to defend the iron condor. If you buy a strangle or a straddle and it doesn't move at least 8%, you're going to get all the value sucked out and you're going to just get bled. It's going to bleed out. If it makes a big move, maybe you're okay. If you pick a direction, then of course you just have the risk that you're wrong. So I don't know. There's no really, the assessment I've come to after years and years of trading is this. Market makers are really good at pricing options around earnings. Really good. And that's what makes it so difficult, right? Okay. Did we look at everything? We did. Let's get a quiz. Let's look at the vol. Then let's look at the watch list. Does it look great today? No, but is it setting up? Here's the first thing I want you to notice. First and foremost, look how much we're already getting back. We were down like 1%. What do we know about the sellers? They're weak as can be. Look at your volume. We've got 35 minutes left. Today's a sell day. Average is 56. We're at 23. Maybe we get to 30, 35 million. It's way, way light. Does this help? Does this make us scared of the sellers? No. Negative. Okay. So that's good news. Let's get in and get a quiz. I believe that was right when I started talking. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It was earlier than that. I'm just playing around. Okay, B is going to be in the range. I'm going to go across the top of this candle here, across the bottom of this candle here. This is the range. B, you're in here. A, you're up here. This is the last quiz ever. Your last, if you've never participated in a quiz, this is your day. This is your day. What are you waiting for? You can't ever do it again. Last quiz. I'm nervous as hell. I don't even know what I'm going to say. It's scaring me a little bit. Let me go through where everyone is. John is a B. Bob is an easy A, he says. Dennis is an A. Fred is a B. LK is an A. Oh, what am I going to do? I really want this last gold medal so bad. Okay, I'm going with a B. Buyers are going to make a run, but they're going to fail. They're not going to get it. They already failed once. They're going to fail again. This is the coup, is it? Coup? Coup, I don't know if you heard the news, but this is my last week. Today and Friday. So this is the last quiz ever. So if anyone else didn't know that, that's why I'm saying this is the last quiz. What would I do if we got 100% participation in this quiz? If I got one person who's never participated, who's like, okay, Scott, okay, I am gonna answer you today. Just throwing it out there. But Q is an A. So thank you, Q. That's appreciated. I really am going to miss this group. I love it. I've loved my time. I've had a blast. Just a nice couple hours a week to keep me balanced. All right. I'm going to put Angelique one last time in the A grouping. Okay. There we go. Love it. A lot of fun. The quiz has been a lot of fun. I'm going to just give myself a quiz arbitrarily every now and again, just the last hour, just like when you pour. Oh goodness, let's look at the VIX and then let's look at the watch list. That all makes sense to me. Still a selling day for sure, but certainly nothing that adds confidence to the cause of the sellers, in my opinion. Let's look at the VIX. The VIX is interesting. So John mentioned, why can't I just type in an X? What is going on with my keyboard? John mentioned that similar. It's tough though. So from a theoretical standpoint, what would be the cause of the hedge for me? We dropped all the way out and we got this new low. This low actually took out these lows. So that's definitely our new low. And then we went up. Then we had a lower high. It's so hard to draw because the scope of that prior panic that the market had. It's like, you know what? I'm almost going to just I'm going to come from here and just, okay, that's a little better just to knock off some of that. But we had our lowest low down here. Then it went up. That was the lower high confirmed when it came down. Right? So we'll put LH there. Then what? Then we got down here. And we're like, wait a second, is that as low as it's going to get? Because if it is, and it becomes a HL, which is a higher low. What's the verdict on this? 1681 is the old high. We're at 1695. If this drops back down here in the last little bit into this shadow, then I'm not convinced necessarily. But yes, a higher low would definitely mean a hedge. Now, what else would be contributing factors to that decision? How many bullish trades do you have? Right? So the question is, where do we end up? I don't know. So if you have a lighter than normal bullish load, you might only put on a half a hedge. So there is a level of discretion. John, you said it right. There's a bit of an art to it. I agree. I wish I could give you a formula, but with so many things, there's not a formula. There's a spectrum, right? There's a spectrum of your risk tolerance versus the prospect of what's happening versus the size of your portfolio. And you're having to kind of say, where do I find myself? I'm here. And then that will help dictate, do you hedge? And if so, to what extent? It's a funny thing. Even my market posture, people want so bad to be able to make it formulaic, especially a couple of the more ambiguous components, which would be sector rotation and major market analysis. You're looking at 4 different time frames, so it's pretty easy to be like this or that. I just lost my train of thought. Let me go back to what we were talking about. I love what Bob just said. He caused me to lose my train of thought because of his perspective. He said insufficient movement. That's valid. He's saying, look, it's just, it wasn't enough. We can't read this. I need more confirmation. Valid. That could also lead to either A, pass. I'm passing. Or B, yeah, I think I'm going to go. I'm maybe even if you have a good level of bullish, you're like, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do a half. I'm just going to put a couple of contracts on, shut them down quickly if I need to. That's where there is a level of discretion, but that's a great perspective, I think, is, hey, if there's just a little, because we can see is sometimes a little wiggle waggle in the VIX where we're like, isn't that? Love it. Great comment. Okay. Let's get back. Where do I want to go? I want to back out of this. Let's go into the watch list and just kind of see. We have a nice range. What looks good? Apple. Earlier, I was looking at Apple like, is this thing trying to pop? Did it happen? I still think it has more consolidation in front of it, but we'll see, because other things not necessarily so. I definitely think that there is something there in a lot of different places in the market right now. So your thoughts, what sectors do you like? Let's keep moving to the watch list. I've got Amazon. I'm not sure if it's someone, meaning just Vlad, or if I'm not sure. My assumption would be Vlad. Yeah. If there was someone taking over, I think he would have mentioned it. So Amazon, I like Amazon. John says financials. Financials have been strong. Some selective in tech. I love that answer. Consumer, yes. Maybe an industrial, maybe. Consumer, I like Amazon. It's a leader. It broke its consolidation, got all the way up here. Look at today. Look at the selling pressure today. I think it looks fantastic. Sitting right on top of its 200. I just need it to turn. I'm actually starting to map it already. Setting up Indeed. I might move this down a little bit. This was my trigger yesterday if today was bullish. That's what's great about what I'm trying to do. If today was bullish, it wasn't. So now what? So now I can say, you know what? If tomorrow it comes down here, Now I'll get in, right? And if it gives us a doji, I might move it down on top of the doji and just be like, when this thing goes. Now at this point, though, I would also activate this drawing, which is representative of what? My stop loss. I'd probably just put it right underneath that sucker right there. And then if I get a little bit of an upswing, I might even move it underneath the body. I don't have to go all the way down that far necessarily. But those are some good looking parameters there. That looks like I'm getting 2-to-1 to this first point, possibly 4-to-1 to the second point. Now what? Be patient and wait for the trigger. It was setting up yesterday. It was setting up the day before. Honestly, I was ready on this day right here saying, hey, that could be a flag. Still could be a flag. Now it's a little bit more than a flag. It's just a pullback, but it's a nice looking pullback, low volume. A low volume pullback. I mean, isn't that kind of like textbook what we like? It is for me. It is for me. AXP. Financials are looking a little overextended. They got a signal, didn't last long, but if you traded financials, you should be profitable. You should be profitable. Maybe you're taking some, maybe you're protecting what's left, managing the trade, but there's definitely been momentum in financials. We called that out last week. Here it started low, but it got it back. But it's still pressing up against some resistance. BLDR. I like BLDR. Just popped, made a new high. Good volume on the bust to the upside. Now it's pulling back on significantly diminished volume. What does that tell me about the sellers? Tells me they're weak. That tells me to get ready, if I want to buy it, to think about an entry here. Initial target maybe here. Second and larger target maybe up into this area, up near 200. Yes. City pulling back. Caterpillar pulling back a little. So Caterpillar with BLDR, a couple of industrials that might have some momentum. Okay, so here's the deal. A little bit ago, I'm like, I'm going to take my focus off of consumer staples, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I was wrong. I was just wrong. And that happens sometimes. I'm a little bit holding that as a mistake on my part because my typical policy is go to the well one too many times rather than one too few. Why? Because I have a positive expectancy. Right? If somebody came to you and they're like, hey, I'm going to flip a coin. You can get to call heads or tails. You can bet $1. If you're right, I'll give you $1.50. Right? If you're right, I'll give you $1.50. If you're wrong, I get your $1. What are your thoughts in that scenario? What would you do? I'd be like, how many times and do you have time for me to go to an ATM? Now I could calculate that, right? So I have a 50-50 expectancy. What was the question? A guy walks up to you on the street and he says, hey, buddy, I've got a game to play. I'm going to flip a quarter. Okay, you get to bet before I flip it, heads or tails, and you get to bet. And I'll pay out time and a half. You bet 10 and you're right, I'll pay you 15. You're wrong, you give me the 10. Yeah, right? Now we're talking. So I've got and a 50-50 expectation of being right. Yeah, and so that has a positive expectancy. That has a positive expectancy. What is the positive expectancy? I take 1.5 times 0.5 equals, the positive expectancy is 25%. It's a 25% expectancy. Well, remember, John, he's paying you the 1.5 and keeping the dollar. That's the offer. And he's giving you 50-50 odds. So he's basically giving you a 25% expectancy. And then he says, do you want to play? What's your answer? Yes. Now, I could even figure out what, if I had $1,000, what would be the optimum bet? And then I would put that bet on. And then if he said, do you want to do it again? What would you say? I would say yes. Why? Because it's a positive expectancy. I expect to make. So if I put $100 at risk, I have a 25% expectancy. I expect $25 for every $100 I put at risk. So if I get to do it 4 times and I put $100 at risk each time, I would expect to be at least $100 profitable. And I would just, and if he said, do you want to do it again? I'd be like, yeah. And then he said, do you want to do it again? I'd be like, yeah. Why am I telling this story? Because that's what the market's doing. Valid trade signal. So looking at Colgate-Palmolive, I see a higher high followed by a higher low. I see a stochastics that turned. I see expectancy to lose is 50-50. Right? You flip a, he says heads or tails. You say, all right, I'll put $100 on it. He flips it. Heads. You bet tails. You're wrong. You have to give him $100. So on a one-time event, you could be a loser, right? But then he's like, do you want to do it again? You're like, hell yes. What do? You bet another $100. You flip a coin. It's wrong again. I'm down $200. You want to do it again? Hell yes. You flip a coin. You're right. You get 150. Do it again? Yes. You're right again. You get another 150. You flipped it 4 times. The odds played a positive expectancy. Doesn't play out always in the short term. 1 trade at a time, 2 at a time. You could be wrong 6 times in a row. Should you play the 7th time if he asks? The answer is yes. Why? Because it's a positive expectancy. That's what a positive expectancy gives us as traders. So what was my mistake when looking at CL? Trying to outsmart the market. Oh, I think defensives are going to get a pullback now. I thought that. I was wrong. My system says if you get a higher high, higher low, place the trade. If I had done that, it would have worked. What did I do here? I said no to a positive expectancy. Yeah, let's just that's all. Just reflection. Expectancy, and so yeah. So the expectancy, remember, when it's expressed as a percentage, 25% expectancy means for every dollar you put at risk, you expect to make 25 cents. That's not when you're right. That's every time. And so if I put $100 on the line, I'm going to risk $100. So if I were just to bet 100 every single time, then basically over 20 events, I will have put at risk $2,000. Multiply that by 0.25, then I would have expect to make $500 of profit. Now, the actual distribution of probability could shift a little bit, but over time. And that's what we look at as traders. If you follow your rules, you don't just expect to be right. I followed my rules, I should be right. Nobody thinks that. Just like if you bet this system and you're like, I bet heads. It's 50-50, man. You might lose the first one. And if someone's like, oh, shit, I lost, I don't want to bet anymore, then they shouldn't be a trader. That's for sure. Because in a 50-50 system, there's like a 25% chance you have 4 in a row every time. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. The risk of runs, which means that the way that we manage our risk is the way that we manage our risk of ruin as traders. Oh, man, we got to some really heavy stuff today as we get towards the end. I can't believe we've never really talked about it from this standpoint before, but I hope it's helpful. Because if you have a positive expectancy and you see a trade, what should you do? Take the trade. Just like if that guy on the street ever shows up, call me up. I'm going to go to the ATM on my way over. because I want to play that game where that guy flips the coin and I get to bet on it. That's what we're hoping to achieve here. We don't need to be right 80% of the time. Being right 50-50 is fine. I don't need to have 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio. 1.5-to-1 is actually fine. That will produce a 25% expectancy. You can do phenomenal things with that. You don't need to be off the charts successful to be a successful trader. 50-50 with a slight edge. That's all you need. We can do that. Hopefully, we've established that. If we get the conditions right, if we establish our rules in a way that gives us the potential to make 2-to-1, 3-to-1, then we should be able to achieve at least a 1.5-to-1. And if we trade in line with the trend and in favor with the market, then we should be able to achieve 50% accuracy. I don't know. Does that seem reasonable? Does that make sense? Can I get a hell yes or an amen? Something. Let's keep going through the watch list. Let's look at everything before we wrap it up here. It tested a new high. I actually said I was going to wait for it to do exactly this. I wanted to see that the buyers pushed it higher than it was before it got its bad news. What was its bad news? The bad news was that the CEO who helped build such vast amounts of growth for them left and went to Starbucks. Speaking of, how's Starbucks doing, by the way? A little bit more of a bump and now starting to give it back. Interesting. But for CMG, what this shows me is that the market is okay. And as long as I get a low higher than this, let's call it 52.5 and above. If I have a little pullback and bounce, I think we're ready to go into the next trend. Let's just assume the parameters and mechanisms he put into place are going to stay there and they'll be fine. Costco. Woo! I thought I missed something, and look at that engulfing pattern there. I'm okay with this. It just made a new high. If it pulls back and gets to the 50 and makes a higher low, great. Let's trade it. Carvana pulling back, ready. All of these things are setting up. I would trade a lot of these as they start to establish these new higher lows at or above 50-day moving averages. And for some of them, I don't care even if they're not. We'll get to that. GM needs to pull back. Google, as long as it doesn't break below 160, I like this one. Home Depot, flagging, new high. IWM, maybe. Trying to make a cup, trying to get back to the old highs. JP Morgan, strong as hell, but needs a pullback. KBH, cup and handle, anyone? Potential to trade this out of the cup, capitalizing on interest rates coming down. KBH capitalizes on exactly what I want to capitalize on, and that's lower interest rates. Makes it a lot easier to sell their houses. Coke, new high. Strong. Should have been traded. It was on the watch list. Back here. That would have been hard. That would have been hard to get through, and then it would have been just frustrating if you missed it. So I don't know. I can live with that. McDonald's maybe pulling up into a trade soon. Meta pulling into a trade soon. You can see all to activate this and move it down a little bit, and then activate this and move it down a little bit. Same basic premise, reward to risk. Should be even improved there. Yeah. First I want the handle, then I want the cup. MMM. That new highs. There's another consumer staple laughing at me. Bastards. I like Microsoft. I think Microsoft is a viable setup. It broke the consolidation line. You know the criteria. Broke the consolidation. New high, pulling back, higher low. Let's go. I'm looking for it. There's a lot of things in a lot of areas. They're in technology, Apple, Microsoft, and the chips. They're in communication services, Netflix, Google, Meta. They're in consumer discretionary, Amazon, Carvana, Costco. It seems broad. Yes, I think. Let's find more. Micron. The consolidation. Boop, boop, boop. What are we looking for? You see it. You know this is what can start our next round of trends and hopefully give us not just that trade, but 3 or 4 more. Netflix, it's a little iffy. NVIDIA, earnings, we'll see what earnings does. Should be interesting, yeah. Palantir, boom, on the list. Hammer pattern, what would I do? I would make the adjustment. Let's activate this drawing, a little easier to get in. Let's give it a little bit more flexibility just to the underside of the hammer. Still plenty of opportunity there for us. And ready to go. I love it. I think we have good looking stuff. The Qs. Trade the ETF. That looks fine. SPY possibly flagging. Here's another one. Didn't turn today, but still close. Still close. The dollar got some back, but overall taking a lot of pressure off of the market with that. Here's the VIX. Okay, what did we say about the VIX? We said part of the hedges, does it get back below the yesterday's high, 1681? Now we're at 1674. What does that mean? Who's going to win the final gold medal? I mean, we got to carry. We're going all the way until the final minute. There's no ending early today. That's for damn sure. Oh, the A's. It's pushing into A territory, which if you're a B, I said, I think it's going to test, but not hold. So we have 7 minutes for the sellers to be like, nope. And it comes back down. 7 minutes for this final most. This is a platinum medal. It's not a gold medal. It's a platinum. It is the platinum, the one, the only. It will be shared by Group A or Group B. There's no way nobody wins. John says he has the most medals ever. I don't know. I've kept track and I looked at it recently and it's actually me. It's me. Is it bad form to give yourself the title at your own? It kind of feels like a Trump kind of a move where I'm like, I'm club champion. What are you talking about? Oh, look at that drop. Look at that drop. Oh my goodness, you guys, it's falling back down into the B's. I think the market's it's vested. It's going to be an interesting one. We should probably walk away and finish the watch list. We'll come back to this. Woo! TSM pulled here. Let's go through the. Well, I like Walmart, but I need a pullback. 6 minutes is a lifetime indeed, especially the last 6 minutes. I mean, 6 minutes at lunch, nobody cares, right? For the most part. The first 6 and the last 6, they can be just about anything. But do I want that platinum? Do I want it so bad? Walmart needs a pullback. Basic materials look like they're flagging. They still look pretty strong to me. Communication services looks like it has completed its breakout and is ready to be bullish. Energy, not so much. Still kind of sideways. Nice. We like to see that. Financials completed its breakout and then some. Industrials looks great. Looking at a little bit of a pullback there. Completed. I think that all our favorites are coming back into position. Technology, financials, industrials, communication. Beautiful. But there is still some strength in staples. Is it defensive strength or is it broad market strength? Hard to know still, right? I don't think we know the answer to that question yet. Utilities, is that defensive strength or broad strength? It's hard to know which is which. Healthcare, a little overextended. XLY. I need to close it now. Q's like, shut up. I'm not closing it, Carol. I'm letting it go to the final minute. The final minute. Consumer discretionary didn't make a full V yet, but it made a pretty good, it's a pretty good V. It's not a cup V yet. Maybe it gets there next and then gives us a handle. And then what? Then I look for the cup first, handle second. Yeah? What else would you call that? I'd call that a head and shoulders pattern. And the head and shoulders pattern, some people would say, is theoretically complete once it gets through there. Oh, I'm going to miss talking about the market with you guys. We had a good run. If like a few months down the road, make sure you flag my email. One more day, Friday morning. We will not end without having morning coffee on Friday to wrap up. We'll close the week, the month. Is it the quarter? It's not. It's not the quarter. I'll send it right now. I will send it right now to, why can't I type a message? I will also send it. Send to all. Boom. No, I would never. No blockages. Everyone's good to come on. Deliberatetrading@gmail.com. That is me. Because everything we do as traders should be deliberate. How much time do we have left? Last minute. We've seen everything. I have the stock on my watch list. Should it be there? Nah, I don't really like it. Sometimes I don't even look at it. So let's get back to the SPY. Let's get back to the 5-minute chart. Oh, they made a pushing back down. Oh my goodness, you guys. I believe that the B's, I'm not going to ask A's to hold their heads, and I want you to hold your heads proudly. You win a gold. You don't get the platinum. You win a gold in my heart. You win a platinum. I'm a B. We're all winners today because you were here, because we're all part of this best friends club that will last forever. Bam. B's, you win. A's, I love you to death. Everybody, don't miss Friday morning. It's going to be a party. It could get a little emotional. There may be tears. We don't know. You'll have to show up to find out. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, happy trading.